Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. How are y'all doing? How's it going? Oh, yeah. Happy Mother's Day to everybody who is a mom. I know that it's not happy for everybody. Um, some mothers are some mothers have deceased children or miscarriages or estranged from their children. So it's not so happy. I understand, and I'm sorry. My heart's with you. And then there are some dads who are moms too. So happy Mother's Day to you too. I hope it's good for I hope it's a good Sunday for everybody. Well, good evening. How are y'all doing? Hey Festus's mom. Hey Door Opinion. Hey AKA the cat lady. How you been, girl? Lamisa Filipino Food Club. Donna. Trace. Did I already say Trace on the case? I'm saying it again. Okay. Anyways, happy Mother's Day to you guys. Hello, Carrie Ann. How are you? Thank you. And same to you. Same to you. All right. So I enjoyed the break away from trial for 2 days. I know Donna did. But so but today I feel kind of out of whack as far as like I'm like, well, what do I need to touch on? What do we need to go over? And because it's like I kind of blank, Um, it's not on purpose. It just kind of happens. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day. Just got off work. All right. My mother will be back on the 16th. Yay. For graduation. And then she'll be back up there. But again, I really don't even know where to start. I'm just like, because I've been catching up on editing videos and those kind of things, right? And so I'm just like, well, I don't even know where to start. I know that it was a big week, It was a big week this week. We had Melanie Pulowski, Ian Pulowski, Zalema Pastenes, Alex Cox's wife. We had the really Ariel, I can't think of his name, Werthers. Okay. We had him. He was from Chandler Police Department, and he showed us where Lori. And a lot of people are asking, like, why are they bringing in Chandler stuff? Why are they bringing in Arizona stuff? And my honest opinion on that is, I think that you know how John Pryor likes to gloat about um, whether or not is his client charged in any of the Arizona crimes, and he's gloating about that. Okay. And then there's the one detective, I wanna say Detective Coons, maybe? I get them mixed up. Um, he was a Chandler detective, and he was on the stand. I don't remember if it was this week or the week before, but he said, I mean, as long as there's he's not charged right now, no, but if there's any evidence that comes up, that's not closed, basically, that they could still charge him. And I think that's kinda where they're going with this. To me, I don't know what it seems like to other people, but to me, it seems like, here's this evidence. Here's Chad. He's been on the phone with Lori the whole damn time. He's calling the funeral home to make arrangements for my uncle's cremains. And not only he's not just doing it as Chad Daybell, he's doing it as Chad DeBall, which morphs, it's Chad Daybell, then it's like DeBall, and then he lies. It's a bunch of lies, and so to me, it's just like the same way that they did with Lori Vallow last year, whenever they charged her, Arizona charged her the very day, which was a year ago today, also, by the way. So cheers on that. A year ago today, Lori was found guilty in Boise, Idaho, for the deaths of Tylee and JJ, her 2 children, and she was also found guilty for conspiracy to commit murder for Tammy, for Chad Daybell's wife, who he is now standing trial for, um, first-degree murder. I wanna say it's on all 3, I don't remember. It's like I was like, "What?" I thought it was conspiracy to commit murder for the 2 children, and first degree for Tammy, and then I wanna say somewhere that it actually is first degree. I'm gonna look back here because I do have the charges right here on the screen. See? So Chad's got 3 counts of first degree murder for Tammy, so first degree. So, yes, he does have first degree or counts of first degree, murder for Tammy, Daybell, JJ, Vallow, and Tylee Ryan. Then he has 3 counts of conspiracy to commit murder for Daybell, for Tammy, for JJ, and for Tylee, and then grand theft and insurance fraud. So, oh, okay. I was like, when did they upgrade, or did they upgrade, or am I just out of the loop completely? Um, anyway, so I forget all the little things I made. I haven't played with all this in a while. I haven't, taunted y'all with all my little antics backstage, while we're watching jury selection, because that's when I made justice for Tammy Daybell with the little ducks, right? Unfortunately, those ducks don't seem to be in a row with her children. And I know that's aggravating a lot of us. It does me. It aggravates me. And I try to look at Tammy's children. Hold on. I'm having allergy stuff. So let me clear my throat. It's been like that, well, for a season now, but it's been like that for sure. Um, just extra throat stuff since yesterday. Thought I heard Jason. Anyways, I do hear Jason. I don't know what he's saying. Oh, let's see. Yeah. But like Tammy's children, I try to look at them like, okay, I really do try to empathize with, and it's been really, really hard lately because of the things that have come up, such as the body cam footage of Emma and Chad, you know, him in the cop car and him basically, he sounds guilty as all get out. He really does. He sounds so guilty. He's just like, well, she'll be taking care of my finances for now or from now on. And um yeah, it's total guilt. Yeah, I was just reflecting on it. Sorry. But um and so I do have this pulled up. Let me see which one. Grand jury. Now this is from Maricopa County. Grand jury indictment returned on Lori in Vallow in death of Charles Vallow, Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. So, they returned from a grand jury, okay, about Charles, but they did not actually like announce charges until the day she was um, found guilty. The day that Lori was found guilty a year ago today, Arizona came out with, "Hey, we're coming for you." Okay. So I think, in my opinion, I think that that's what they're going to do with Chad. I don't know if it's a deal between Arizona and Idaho saying that, hey, we'll let you get through your things first, and then we'll go. So, this says Tuesday, June 29th, 2021, Phoenix, Arizona. On June 24th, 2021, a Maricopa County grand jury charged Lori N. Vallow with 1 count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, which is a Class 1 felony dangerous, okay, in the death of Charles Vallow. The indictment states Lori N. Vallow on or about July 11th with the intent to promote or and the commission of an offense, to wit, first-degree murder, agreed with Alexander Cox that at least one of them or another will engage in conduct constituting the offense of first-degree murder. And that's okay. It's hard to see. On July 11th, 2019, Alexander Cox, brother of Lori Vallow, called 911 and reported that he had shot and killed his brother-in-law, Charles Vallow. Charles Vallow died at the scene of the shooting. Alexander Cox died in December of 2019. Quote, complex, difficult cases of this nature take time to properly investigate and solve. I appreciate the tremendous number of hours and I'm sorry. I'm having to go lower and lower and lower to see. It says, I appreciate the tremendous number of hours the dedicated officers of the Chandler Police, oh my God, the Chandler Police Department have invested, and my office is equally committed to bringing those responsible for Charles Vallow's death to justice, stated County Attorney Alistair Adele. And I know she has passed away since, but anyways. As with any charged crime, the county attorney's office is committed to ensuring the due process rights of a defendant while ensuring the rights of victims are protected and those who commit crimes are held accountable for their actions. Oh, I wish I had this where I could click the please see grand jury indictment for additional details. A charge in a crime is merely an accusation, and the defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. So there's that. I don't know what this one is. Alistair Adele and conspiracy to commit. Okay. This was for Chad. Okay. So regarding Chad, this is the same day, June 29, 2021. Defendant Chad Daybell and date of birth 8/11/1968. Prosecutor Trina K. Okay. And it says SP1 homicide. And it says, regarding decline prosecution notification, an attorney has reviewed the report and has made the decision to decline prosecution on the following charges or charges. And it says conspiracy to commit murder, first degree. So that's in Uncle Charles's, right? 7/11/2019 is a date. And it says the reason for that is no reasonable likelihood or conviction. Property release, no. And it says co-defendant's case is pending and property is also being used in Idaho prosecution. So that's a big thing right there. And it says release for this prosecution only. If referred to another agency, please get their release. Do not release any property still needed to prosecute co-defendants. It says co-defendants. And co-defendant would be Lori N. Vallow. I'm just saying, let me know what you think. I just kind of tend to think so. Oh, well, good. And I forgot I uploaded this too. This is credit Jet Set J. I had copied and pasted the comment because it was funny. No pollen formed against me shall prosper. Benadryllations 24/7. So that's to all the allergy sufferers, right? And thank you, Jet Set J, because it cracks me up. And it's so true. I uploaded some other things too. I can't see what they are, and I didn't title them, so we're just gonna look. Oh, this is from the FOIA docs, copied and pasted, and and it says, because I was going to look where it says right here at the very top, it says Lori tells the group, okay, this is the 7 gatherers, okay. Lori tells the quote group that she can't do a conference call because she is being monitored and it's not safe for her. That was 5/21/2019. So she was most likely in Texas with my uncle who had moved to Texas in Houston because they were separated, right? And then she had to go to his house to get his finances in order, make sure that she is the beneficiary on his life insurance policy, basically. And so it says the group consisted of, and you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Zalema, Lori, Melanie Gibb, Melanie Boudreau, Serena Sharp, Christina Atwood, Nicole Earl. And it just, there's pages of this, of their communications, their weird communications. Yes, I'm blinding him with light, all that bullshit, doing work on Heblos. The demonic names that they said were inhabiting my uncle. Okay. This one was weird. This is Limit Lori, 6/27/2019. Do you think there's a way to change Eplos to the light? And 7219 Zalimadalori. Also, I was given instructions today to rip, tear, or burn the aura of Eplos to let the body energy out so he can't re-enter. Exclamation point, right? 7219 Chad to Zalima. Chad to Zalima. I am very happy to find out these estates. You and Lolo have doing amazing work. Mother Earth is so grateful to you both. Thank you as well for your help with Eplos. He is so very close. You know what? Charge his ass. Charge his ass and convict his ass too, because I do believe he is responsible and behind, or the mastermind, or whatever you want to call it. He is a co-conspirator, in my opinion, in the death of my Uncle Charles, as well as Melanie Pulowski's ex-husband, or now ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux. Just saying, charge him. Okay, and then it says 7/8/19. So mind you, this is just 3 days before my uncle was murdered. I mean, they didn't talk about this shit afterwards. You know what I'm saying? I don't see any evidence of it after Uncle Charles was murdered. Lord Dilemma, ask if we can call up a California earthquake for tomorrow. My uncle would fly to California to go work. Just saying. Eplos will be heading there tomorrow in Valencia. Sadly, he is still okay, but we are going to continue to work on him. The elements will obey eventually, you know. Oh my gosh. 7/8/2019. 18, 19 hours. Dilemma to Lori. I had to get home so I could go in my portal out there. I asked if we do that, the ramifications of the things to come we are not ready for at this time. For what I understand is that when Eplos goes, things are going to be a domino effect. Basically, meaning I think that like so will Tylee, so will JJ, so will Tammy. You know, all the other demons and the zombies, right? And it goes on to say, for what I understand, that when Hippo goes, okay, things will be a domino effect, one after another. What do we need to do to be ready for all that is coming? Get ready for jail. That's what I'm saying. 7/9 at 14:04 hours. Lori to Zalima. I feel we are ready. Just doing the things we are asked daily as our powers increase and our vibration increases. They are freaking deranged. You already know that. I already know that, but they need to know it, right? And then, hey, I'm just kidding. And I mean, look at the love bombing going on here. Lori does Dilemma on 6/2. This is kind of going backwards, but it says, "You're an amazing lady. I love you." Question mark. Dilemma to Lori. I'm tired now. Lori does Dilemma. Me too. Me too. I'll keep the light. I think that should say and fire. Light and fire going until he's gone. If they take time and just, not be rushing through everything and be doing some wicked shit, then maybe they could text right. Maybe I could talk right, you know. And then Zalima to Lori, me too. I'm still sending it. 6/3/8/17. Lori to Zalima. Okay, I listened last night, prayed over it, and surrendered. Flying home today to give the literal demon. Today to gave? That don't even make sense. Okay, I listened last night, prayed over it, and surrendered. Flying home today to give the literal demon. To gave the literal demon. He is still fine as of this morning. I love you for being so diligent and wise. Slim to Lori, how are you? I've been thinking about you all day. 6/3. Lori to Zalima, just got home and got JJ to sleep. Let's go spiritually tonight and work on him. We give the timing to the Lord, but we don't need to relent. This is war. 6/19. Zalima to Lori. Oh, and can you meet me at the temple in the morning? Okay, a lot of temple visits, a lot of temple talk. I have time tomorrow and we can work on Eplos. 6/22/2019. Alex starts texting Zalima from Alex. Okay. Alex to Zalema, 1902 hours. Hey, Zalema, it's Alex. Zalema never saved the number under a name and just left it as a phone number. Context of the message between Zalema and the number also confirmed that it was Alex's number, right? This is from Chad Daybell's book. I just thought it was interesting because it's right in the introduction. And it says the idea for this book actually came after a discussion with my father. That would be Jack Daybell, Chad's father. He was preparing to teach a lesson to his high priest group. He's a high priest. And he was looking for any instances that spoke of, quote, of familial councils. Just saying, this is not, everybody's like, it's not mainstream. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, how come everybody's damn doing it? You know, maybe it's not mainstream. Maybe y'all need to do a refocus, you know, get back on track, if ever. Okay. And he was looking for any instances that spoke of familial councils on the other side of the veil. He had been taught privately by church leaders about this principle. But such a concept is virtually absent in the current curriculum. They're looking for more, okay? The mysteries of God is what they're looking for. As a church, we talk about family history a lot, focusing on the souls trapped in spirit prison who need us to do their temple work. But we rarely mention our righteous ancestors who are closely watching us from the other side of the veil. In this book, you'll read of several instances where I have been able to receive their guidance. Grandpa Keith, Tammy's grandmother, you know, just to name a few. And then it says, I believe that just as we hold family councils on this side of the veil, similar meetings are being held there too, with the focus on how to help those of us on earth. That perspective can help us unify our families and bring a broader view of our missions in life. Anyways, that's a little Chad, according to Chad. If I'm quoting Left Undone, who's like Chad, according to Chad. There's been a lot of that. There he is. Whack-a-mole, right? Whack-a-mole. Just saying. Anyway, so all right, I'm gonna get out of this little area. Get back over there to the comments. Yeah. Oh. Now I was watching Nights with Ping the other night, Friday night, I want to say. He's got such a very it's raining again. He has a very soothing Australian accent, right? And I'm just like, oh, you know, it's just a good palate cleanser, I guess you could say, just listening to him, you know. But suggest any of you guys who have not subscribed to Nights with Ping, find him on YouTube and do so. He deserves support. He's a very stand-up dude, in my opinion. But he was talking about this story because somebody had mentioned it to him. And so he says in Australia, they have these kind of like a public service announcement, these basically telling kids to stay out of storage drains and stuff because they suck you in. And he showed one of them, and I was like, oh my God. Just because it's like they show the kids playing near the storage drain, and then somehow they get in, you know. I mean, I played in the ditch like all the time. I was a ditch kid. I mean, never thought about it. I mean, you know, we have open ditches where I lived and back then. Um, but I mean, we love to play. I love to play in the damn ditch when it rained. I was outside when it was not lightning, you know. Anyways, just I don't know. That's for kids who don't have a damn swimming pool, I guess you could say. So it's my mom and dad's fault. Just kidding. But I mean, I remember even putting my swing set or having my swing set right by, you know, and I could just like land and slide into it, you know, all that jazz. Anyways, but that public service announcement was so eye-opening for me because I pictured Asher just like he showed in the public service announcement, you know, just getting into the floodwaters, you know, and the storm drain. And I mean, everything's whooshing by so fast and quickly. And you don't really think about those things because you're just a kid, you know? And then it showed like the camera going not the kid, I'm sure, but it would be a kid. It's what you're supposed to picture or a person, and it's going through, and I'm just like, "Oh my god," that poor kid. It's so terrible. It's terrible. It really is. He had a Facebook and updates regular there. Other son has oh my gosh, poor babies. I like your picture, Trey. Donna. I do too. Ashlyn, my little girl, my little about to be graduate. She can do a really good Australian accent if I can ever get her to do it. And but her my ex-husband, he's from England, and so the fact that she does Australian is funny, because her nanny and her grandfather, they have the British accent, but anyways, that's neither here nor there, right? But all right, so I'm trying to think of what I was gonna do first. Let me go up here. I was gonna I've never I've avoided this like the plague, y'all. I've avoided it because it's so gross. I've noticed other family members kind of feel the same way that I do about this because it's just disgusting. I've either never read it all the way through. I've definitely never read it out loud by myself, or to anyone. I've just had to go, we'll go listen to other people read it because I'm just like, oh. So I kind of steered clear of it because it's just gross. The depravity that is involved in this James and Elena story is disgusting. It's disgusting. So I was watching Hidden True Crime last night, and they were replaying a Patreon episode that they had done the reading a long time ago because it is found in the FOIA docs. It's there. So I'll show you. Give me a second. Share screen. I must share my window. I think that's how I'll be able to. No, I'll just share my entire screen. Okay. So you're gonna see what it looks like back here to me, but until I pull this up. So just hold on. Where's that? Right here. It's in the FOIA docs. This is page 217 of 1108. And this is the James and Elena story, is disgusting. So this has been in the Chandler docs. Oh, there's that. I just accidentally clicked on this. That's weird. Okay. This is that weird text communication between okay, that's between Alex and Lori about the these. There's 24 uh talking about Adam and Shish, which is summer. Um okay, let me get to the James and Elena damn story. Good God. I don't even know where to go with this. I've never read it out loud. Um So, I don't know if y'all wanna do that or what, but I had listened to yeah, Hidden True Crime last night, and it got to Dr. John, and I mean, I understand. I totally understand that's how I feel, but it's like, when this first came onto the scene, whenever the Chandler docs were first released, the FOIA docs, as some call them, um, they are you read this story, and I mean, we don't know as much in 2021 as we do in 2024, right? So much has come out. And then, especially about the deaths of the children and Tammy, and, Lori's been convicted already, but I mean, just the details, right? So I understand what Dr. John, he got Lauren to stop, and he was just like, ugh, it was just over. He was just disgusted. You could tell. And I mean, that's just it, it's funny. We have to make fun. I have to make fun of this because it is so freaking juvenile and it's so extra. It's so depraved. The way they went about things is just so next level. It's extreme, just like every damn thing else that they did. Instead of just divorcing their spouses and going on about their merry little way and not spending the rest of their lives in prison and having, Tylee, JJ, Tammy, Charles, they shot at Brandon allegedly. So, I mean, just didn't have to have all this murder and Mormon mayhem, basically. You probably still belong to your church, allegedly. Things like that. It's just, to me, it's just so damn extra. And it's so whenever you, I guess, read through it now, it's just that kind of sticks out, and it's just sick. But anyways, I'm gonna go see what y'all are saying before I are we okay with that? I'm sorry. I have to put that down in order to here, we'll do that. But do y'all want to go over the James and Elena story or you want to can it? It's up to y'all. You kinda read the thumbnail, though. I feel like I'm like, "Okay, Chris, you're gonna have to. You're just gonna have to. It's just long." So, can I tap out any like, when I feel like it, can I just tap out? Can y'all give me that? Or, like, if y'all want me to read it or it is a hard read. Ugh, it's gross. It's just gross. You'd rather talk about the trial. Okay. Alright, good. Whew, save me from that one. No, it's okay. Okay. All right. It's just gross. That's all I can say. And just juvenile. Like, I don't even know. And this dude's like writing books. But the important thing, I guess, I want to say is that I've noticed whenever, let me go pull that up while I'm thinking about it. Nicole Heidemann, she was the last on the stand Friday, right? And let me pull that video up real quick. She is reading the quote unquote James and Elena story um into record, at least some of it. Now, it seems like these James and Elena details, it seems like they're kind of different than what I've heard before, but I could be wrong. And I do recall somewhere, I just don't remember where, that, you know, they didn't publish the entire James and Elena story, I want to say. And so I don't know if by the time, Nicole Heidemann finishes testifying Monday, tomorrow, then we'll have the whole thing or what. So I'm not too sure. And maybe I feel like I'm kind of lost in those details right now because they jumble. They really do jumble. Okay. So what I noticed in the FBI tactical specialist, Nicole Heidemann, her testimony Friday, is that right out the gate, she is like, "Do you want me to?" And to me, this is important because Chad, we hate your books straight up. We hate you. No, we hate your books. Nobody hates them more than I do. And just to me, and insulting their intelligence is how you get to a narcissist. They don't care that they're being charged and or convicted as a murderer. Just don't call them a core whore, and don't impugn their intelligence. You know what I'm saying? So that's my whole tactics behind that. Is nothing's gonna get to Chad unless you impugn his intelligence or his writing abilities and or disabilities. In my opinion, it's raining pretty hard outside, but I noticed. Let me just go ahead and pull it up here. See if I can get this. Okay. Let me go back over here and share the screen, and I'm a whole damn computer window. Okay. Let me do this. I'll make this larger. Okay, so this is Nicole Heidemann. Let me see. Okay, we're not gonna listen to the whole thing, but just right here, listen to this part.
7 archangels that were found, that was found in the Lori for Style iCloud account.
And do we know where this particular document originated?
We do not know. During the course of the investigation, the names Raphael and James appeared in relation to Chad, as an alias for Chad. That was the first thing that stood out.
And was there anything else that caught your attention?
In this particular document, in relation to Raphael and James. The Tuesday appeared to be significant involving their wedding, as well as Malachite. It was titled Presiding Council of Archangels. And similar to the previous document, we see the same names of Methuselah, James, and Raphael. But this time it's also in relation to Elena or Angel Lily. And then down on the bottom, again, we have the concept or the symbolism of Tuesday, Raphael and Lily, and the color green.
Do you know when Chad and Lori were married?
It was on a Tuesday, November 5th, 2019.
What color is malachite?
It is green.
Did you learn through the investigation of Chad being referred to as Raphael
Yes.
and Lori being referred to as Lily?
Yes.
Last time you were here, we talked about some Google searches you reviewed.
Mhm.
Do you recall talking about searches for malachite?
I do.
Do you recall what accounts searched or who the accounts were associated with that searched for malachite?
Yes, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
And do you recall approximately when some of those searches occurred?
If I recall correctly, Chad's earliest search of malachite was in March of 2018. And then Chad and Lori both appeared to be searching for malachite in May of 2019.
And on the far right, are those 4 different searches that were linked to the chad.daybell?
Okay, hold on. I think she said that he started looking for malachite in 2018, like before, like May of
Searches occurred.
Let me listen.
If I recall correctly, Chad's earliest search of malachite was in March of 2018.
That was way before, allegedly, way before he met Lori, right? So I find this interesting because they allegedly met October 26, 2018 at a Preparing a People St. George event. And yeah, the rest is damn history, right?
And then Chad and Lori both appeared to be searching for malachite in May of 2019.
And on the far right, are those 4 different searches that were linked to the chad.daybell@gmail account?
It appears to be 2 searches and then visiting 2 websites.
And then closer to the image of the malachite, is that a search associated with Lolly, Time Forever?
Yes.
Through the investigation or your review of these documents, did you discover that there were attempts to purchase some wedding rings?
Yes.
Can you tell me about the first attempt?
On August 14th, 2019, Lori purchased 2 glow-in-the-dark malachite inlay titanium rings from Etsy site, Serenity Rings, and provided a shipping address of 5531 South Four Peaks Place in Chandler, Arizona.
Do you know who
Just that right there. Okay, so if those rings if they would have went through with that purchase and sent it to 5531 South Peaks, then my mom would have never found the other, or, I mean, I wouldn't say never, but my mom found basically the Amazon order for the second set of malachite rings. So that's interesting also.
Address was associated with?
With Lori Vallow.
And do you recall when Charles Vallow was killed?
July 11th, 2019.
And again, on August 14th of 2019, was Tammy Daybell still alive?
She was.
And then did you find another attempt to purchase rings?
Yes, on August 25th, 2019.
And what did you discover in relation to that attempt to purchase rings?
She attempted to purchase 2 custom titanium rings with malachite stone inlay, one for a size 4.25, the other 11.5.
Can we just say she got some small damn fingers, first off? I'm like a size 7, sometimes 6.5. I mean, that's some little witch fingers, right? I'm just saying. And then Chad obviously needed not a size 11, but a size 10.5. So it's like, oh, they tried them or something, maybe, or maybe he told her his ring size was a 10.5 and not an 11. Or maybe they were going to wear them after the Lily diet plan, or whatever the hell they were referring to about, him getting into shape, basically, which is disgusting.
From Revolution Jewelry Designs with an express insured shipping to 565 Pioneer Road, apartment 175 in Rexburg, Idaho.
Through the investigation, did you learn who that address was associated with?
With Lori Vallow.
Mhm.
Did you learn whether or not there was ever a successful purchase of malachite wedding rings?
Yes.
And what did you learn in relation to that?
On October 2nd, Lori purchased 2 wedding rings. One gems on click, choose your gemstone color, square natural silver, sterling silver prong ring for women, and a Southwestern style malachite gemstone inlay wedding band, sterling silver unisex ring.
I remember seeing some pictures though from Hawaii whenever after Lori had been arrested. Okay. And so Chad was attending Lori's court hearings and stuff over there. And there's he's in a white shirt, button up shirt, with a blue tie and I think blue pants. I'm not sure. But he's wearing like a black, those rubber rings or whatever. That's, they have them in all different colors and I'm sure sizes, but it seemed like that's what they were wearing too. So I think they had found multiple sets of these kinds of wedding bands and stuff all over. And I'm like, why the hell they have so many damn wedding sets? But I don't know. Maybe they had day wear and night wear.
And there's an image of a ring that appears here. Do you know which of those 2 rings this one was believed to be?
That when you input the description for the Southwestern style malachite ring into Amazon, which is where these were purchased, that is the image that returned.
Do you know whose Amazon account these were purchased through?
Charles Vallow.
Mm-mm-mm.
And again, Charles Vallow had died on July 11th of 2019.
That's correct.
What are we
These aren't
seeing
his.
on this screen?
On the same day as on October 2nd, which is the same day as the previous slide, a size 11.5 Thorsten Mahai malachite stone inlay tungsten carbine ring, the beveled edge wedding band was purchased from Roy Rose Jewelry.
And there's an image on this screen. Can you tell us what we're seeing there?
Again, if you take the Thorsten malachite stone inlay, if you take that description from the Amazon purchase and search that in Amazon, this is the image of the ring that is returned.
Did you,
I'm getting to the point where after they kind of lay this foundation, they're going to, Lindsay is going to ask Nicole to start reading the James and Elena story into record. So I think that's where we did a lot of foundation laying at the end of the day, Friday, when Nicole took the stand. And I think that tomorrow we'll be able to just kind of let it rip. There'll be a little bit of reminders and reminding the jury where they left off Friday. But there's this point where whenever Lindsay asks Nicole to start reading that into record, Nicole, I just think let me
find
not
something
take
else
it
in
away.
relation to this particular ring?
That ring was returned and repurchased as a size 11
Did you determine approximately when that was done?
on October 4th, 2019.
When that was returned, was Tammy Daybell still alive?
Yes, she was.
Do you know when Tammy died?
On October 19th, 2019.
Boom.
Or she was
Real life.
pronounced dead, October 19th, 2019.
And was
So Lindsay is doing a really good job right here of sewing or sealing the deal or tying it all together, because whatever is written in the James and Elena story is actually a reflection of what is happening in real life. So I think that's very important, because everything that's being said in that story is, basically foretelling, premeditating, in my opinion, what's actually going on.
there something else in relation to that ring?
It was the size 11 was returned and repurchased again as a size 10 on October 25th, 2019, and did not appear to have been returned.
Was there anything that stuck out about the image of this ring to you?
It appeared similar to a ring Chad was wearing in their wedding photos.
What is the image on the left of the screen from my angle?
That is a photo that was taken during their wedding, and that was part of their wedding photo package.
Boom.
In relation to the investigation, did you also review some messages sent between devices associated with Lori and Chad?
Yes.
What are we seeing on this particular screen?
This is an SMS, or more commonly referred to as a text message, originating from a 515 number attributed to Chad to one of Lori's phone numbers saved in the Lolly Time iCloud account.
And could you tell what date this was sent?
July 13th, 2019.
Premeditation.
And could you please read the message into the record?
Concerning the 2 weeks, BYU Idaho's graduation is July 23rd. Adam is getting his bachelor's and Leah and Joe are getting their associates. They are all walking in the same commencement ceremony. I feel she will be gone by then, but I will still have that hoopla to deal with because
Yeah.
a lot of my and Adam's family are coming and will stay for July 24th. So I believe that's why the Lord hinted I might not get to be with you until that is over. Please ask about that.
Do you know who Adam is in relation to Chad?
Adam is Chad's son-in-law,
And do you know who Leah is?
Chad's daughter.
And what about Joe?
Again, Chad's son-in-law, yes.
Were there certain things about this message that stood out to you?
Yeah, it seems to provide a date of when she will be gone by then and that they will be together.
Mhm.
And that
Premeditation.
family's in town and that he may not be able to get to be with her, Lori, until that is over.
When it talks about her being gone, was Tammy, or she will be gone, was Tammy still alive at this time?
She was.
And did you look at some additional messages?
I did. From Chad to Lori on July 22nd, 2019. From Lori to Chad, you will love it, heart emoji. From Chad to Lori, not as much as I love you. From Lori to Chad, I love you. You will enjoy the scenery. It looks like Kauai a lot. From Lori to Chad, hopefully we will be there someday soon together. From Chad to Lori, that is the plan. From Chad to Lori and my greatest desire.
Through your review of things, did you discover anything in regards to Lori requesting a quote for a wedding?
Yes.
Mm-mm-mm.
And what did you learn?
Lori emailed a request or filled out a request form on October 30th, 2019, requesting a wedding on a Kauai beach for November 5th, 2019.
And in those messages you just read, do you recall a specific reference to Kauai?
Yes.
And from your review of that, was there a specified date as to when they wanted to hold the wedding?
On November 5th, 2019.
On a Tuesday.
And do you know if Chad and Lori were actually married that day?
They were.
And again, what day of the week was November 5th?
A Tuesday.
Gross.
And what kind of rings did they exchange?
Malachite rings.
And Miss Heidemann,
So
as
basically what I did is I cut out all the lawyer crosstalk, object and all that stuff, or her entering things into to publish and such. So that's kind of what this is.
part of the investigation, were you also asked to look at some temple attendance records?
Interesting.
Yes.
And do you know who those records were for?
Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
And in your review of these, Miss Heidemann, were you specifically looking for dates that Chad and Lori were at the temple together?
Yes,
And in your review of these, did you end up creating a summary exhibit?
I did.
Do you believe it would aid the jurors?
Yes,
Ms. Heidemann, does this appear to be an accurate depiction of the exhibit we were just speaking about?
it does.
Ms. Heidemann,
Yeah,
when you
I
look
do.
on here, again, and I think this
I do.
depicts when Charles Vallow passed away, were there temple visits where Chad and Lori were both at the temple prior to Charles passing?
Yes,
And how many visits did they have at the temple prior to his passing?
3.
In relation to that first visit, was there anything that stood out about that one to you?
Yes, in a story, so that temple visit corroborates some information, some evidence in a story where Chad and Lori, or James and Elena, are sealed in mid-November 2018 in the temple.
And when we talk about the story, what story are you referencing?
It's a story that law enforcement has termed the James and Elena story, just for ease of reference. It's a story of
Ugh.
James and Elena and how they meet and their the initial relationship.
There was indication that James and Elena were at a temple around that same time.
Correct, yes.
And then in
Uh-huh.
relation to that April 27th visit, can you see which temple they were at depicted there?
Yeah, the Houston, Texas temple.
Was there something about that
Oh,
particular one that caught your attention in relation to the investigation?
so that right there, y'all, I have showed y'all so many times how whenever my all this first started happening and and so this is after my Uncle Charles was murdered. This is when the kids were missing. Okay. And so I remember some of my Uncle Charles's things being at my parents' house. And it was just at that time they had a secondary like living room or whatever. And I mean, anyway, so they had put a lot of my Uncle Charles's stuff in that secondary living room because it's kind of off. Okay. And I remember was some company at my parents' house, my other Uncle Jerry and his wife, my Aunt Melanie. And I want to say that there was a book that I saw and it said temples or, it was about temples. It was from Deseret Book, actually. But I remember grabbing that book and I was like, Mom, can I borrow this? Because I want to learn more about Mormonism, basically. But that book, y'all, I think coincides with this temple visit from Chad and Lori because it was my uncle's stuff from Houston. Okay. So that means it was some of Lori's stuff as well. And if she's going through, her and Chad are meeting up and I call it hoeing around in these temples, and that's where they were going to receive translation, right? Whatever the hell they were doing. But I think that Lori bought this book and it ended up in my uncle's stuff. And then I have it, if that makes sense. And it coincides with this right here.
There was indication that James and Elena were at a temple around that same time.
Correct, yes.
And then in relation to that April 27th visit, can you see which temple they were at depicted there?
Yeah, the Houston, Texas temple.
I
Was there
really do.
something about that particular one that caught your
I'm just like, did Lori buy that book when her and Chad were together? And then, she hightailed it once she got my uncle's financials in order. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, ew. So I have that book. It's in my closet, I think. I'll play this while I look. Anyway,
attention in relation
it's
to the
raining hard.
investigation?
Yes, and there was an email sent from a KK Walker email account that was created by Lori requesting Chad visit or come to Houston to speak at a children's camp in Houston on April 27th, 29th.
Ooh,
And when you're looking
wait, that
at
just made me think of
these
something
temple
else.
visits,
That right there just made me think about how I suspect that the Jason Mao speaking at that Billings, Montana singles ward event, I think that's bogus. That's kind of, I don't know. This just kind of struck me. I don't even know how to say it. Let me repeat this.
Chad visit or come to Houston. There was an email sent from a KK Walker email account that was created by Lori requesting Chad visit or come to Houston to speak at a children's camp in Houston on
That, like, I feel like it's just a bogus event. I really feel that Jason Mao was present whenever JJ was murdered. My nephew JJ was murdered the weekend of September 21st through the 23rd when Melanie Gibb and David Warwick drove up. And I mean, Lori's doing it right here. I know it's a little different, but she's making up a cover story as KK Walker, emailing it to Chad for him to go speak at a children's event. It's about as believable as Jason Mao going and speak at a singles ward event is basically where I'm going with that.
April 27th, 29th.
and when you're looking at these temple visits, do you know how the visits are logged?
It's my understanding that there are access or cards that they scan that is unique to each individual, and it
The
captures
church
the
was
date and time
aware,
of the scannings.
if you
And
ask
you were
me.
reviewing the records of those scans.
The church was aware. They have to be. I mean, especially with the way you scan your temple card in and everything. They know people are going frequent and or not. If not, they know. I mean, they keep track. They have a whole department for this, strengthening church member committee or something like that, where they keep tabs on some of their members or a lot of their members. And anyways,
Scannings.
That's correct.
they know.
And with these first three, were the scans
Yeah.
of Lori and Chad's cards relatively close together?
Yes.
And when I say relatively close, could you give an approximation?
Within seconds to a minute or two.
And are you aware when Lori moved or about when Lori relocated to Rexburg?
Approximately September 1st,
Ooh.
2019.
And are you aware when Tammy
Let's read that comment real quick. JJ Blake says, or I'm sorry, Jay Blake says, I can see it now. Oh, Emma, I think Alex might have done something and has set me up. Then after he got to prison, I think he will have told the kids, oh, now I think it was Melanie Gibb. I have to think about that. Like Chad would be saying that? I think that's where you're going with
Daybell
that.
died?
October 19th, 2019.
And between Charles' death and Tammy's death, how many temple visits did you locate where Chad and
Too
Lori
many.
were together?
3.
Was there anything different about the timing on any of those visits in relation to the scanning of the cards?
The September 17th visit was a little bit longer. It was approximately 25 minutes between when, and I apologize, I don't remember who went first, between Chad and Lori scanning their cards.
And then subsequent to Tammy's passing, did you locate another temple visit?
Yes, on October 29th, 2019.
And in looking at these, why were you looking at them? What were you trying to look into?
We were looking at, again, to sort of corroborate other evidence in the case, as far as, like, as mentioned before, the James and Elena story. Also sort of the steps taken to be together in this relationship. There's travel to different states here. So
Many.
just the lengths they went through to be together.
And do you have any indication of what they were doing in the temples?
No, I can't say.
Yes.
And in relation to that first visit, is there some indication of what they were possibly doing in there? Through the investigation in the James and Elena story, was there reference as to what James and Elena were doing in the temple around that time?
Yes,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were being sealed.
And outside of that, is there any indication in relation to the other days?
No.
And Ms. Heidemann, we've referenced the James and Elena story. As part of your role in this investigation, were you asked to do something in relation to the James and Elena story?
Yes.
And what were you asked to do?
Corroborate.
I was asked to compile the James and Elena story was found in multiple places in different iCloud accounts. So I was asked to take all of that information and put it into a single story chronologically as best as we could, so that to make it for ease of reading and for reference.
And can you tell me what accounts or what information you looked at specifically in compiling this story?
The James and Elena story was found in text messages and emails in the Lolly Time iCloud account, as well as in the notes section of the Lori for Style account.
And breaking it down a little bit in relation to the emails, were you able to determine what device or account they were sent from and to which account they were sent to?
Yes, all the emails were sent to and from the Lolly Time Gmail account.
And in relation to the text messages or the messages, were you able to determine who or what number those were associated with as the sender?
Yes, from the 515 number attributed to Chad.
And who were those being sent to?
They were to the Lolly Time. They were saved in there. There's multiple phone numbers, but they were all attributed to Lori.
And when we talk about attribution, do you recall when you
Your
were here
wife.
previously testifying about attribution?
Cell phone attribution, yes.
And was that 515 associated with Bubby, one of the numbers you talked about that day?
I did.
And then turning to the notes, where were the notes located?
They were saved in the Lori for Style.
In relation to the notes, was there any way to determine a date, time, any other identifiers with those?
There did not appear to be any date or timestamps on those documents.
And again, through the investigation, who did you learn or did you learn who James was an alias for?
Chad
And what about Elena?
for Lori.
Did you learn of other aliases associated with Chad?
Gross.
Raphael.
Did you learn of other aliases associated with Lori?
Yes, Lily.
And when we talk about Bubby, was Bubby a reference to Chad from what you could tell?
Bubby was a term that I think was a term of affection that Lori used. I believe she actually referred to Alex and Colby, her son, as Bub or Bubby. So it was a term of
I
endearment,
say bub.
but it's saved as Bubby is
Brother.
saved as the contact for the 515 number, which has been attributed to Chad.
Is it fair to say in compiling this James and Elena that you went
No.
through a lot of data and information?
Yeah.
And have you
True.
in fact compiled that
No,
story
Robin.
as best you could into one format?
As best I could, yes.
And did you in fact prepare an exhibit with that
Here's that
compilation?
part.
I did.
And Ms. Heidemann, if you would look through those pages. Ms. Heidemann, as you went through this, were you looking for specific things outside of just compiling the story?
Yes, we were looking to see if we could confirm that events in the story happened in real life.
And Ms. Heidemann, in looking through those, does that appear to be an accurate depiction of the exhibit you created?
It does.
And do you believe it would
Corroborate.
aid you in your testimony today?
Yes.
Do you believe it would aid the jurors in understanding your testimony?
Yes.
Would you please read into the record from Friday to the word forever?
May I ask a question real quick?
Here.
I am aware, I don't know if it's this one exactly, but there might be some typos or grammatical errors. Do you want me to read
Ooh.
it as it is, or maybe how it should be? Little things like if, of, like just typo stuff.
Thank you for clarifying that. Let me ask you, when this was created, did you essentially copy and paste as it was located within the iCloud account?
Yes,
So does that include grammatical errors?
yes,
Does
or
it include
typos.
some typos?
Yeah.
As you read through,
That right there. He's a writer. This is what he does, and so I know it's little, I know it's subtle and not a big dig, but I still think it's a dig at his intelligence or his competency as a quote unquote writer. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, hey, Chad, we hate your damn books, and she's gonna. I just like it. I like it.
essentially copy and paste as it was located within the iCloud account?
Yes,
So does that include grammatical errors?
yes,
Does
or
it include
typos.
some typos?
Yeah.
As you read through, would you please indicate, would you please read the correct word? And then we will go back and indicate what the other word written or typo may have been.
The correct word as on.
If
as
you
in-
would read the correct word as you believe it to be.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. And you said to start from
If
Friday?
you'll start on Friday and read to the word forever.
Friday morning, October 26th, driving south on the freeway, a voice said, "You will meet an extraordinary woman today who will change your life forever." This was shocking since such a thing seemed very unlikely at this conference. It is actually a very detailed story that began long ago on another world, and I will cover that part as I go along and the characters figure things out. But on the
Yeah.
morning of October 26th, James arrived in St. George, still a bit baffled by the message he had received. He unloaded his books and set up his table, then joined the organizers for dinner in the main room. He saw his friend MG, who had been so helpful to him when he spoke in Mesa that July. MG introduced James to her friend Elena.
And I'm going to stop you there for a moment. Was there something about that first part that caught your attention in relation to what may have been going on in Chad and Lori's lives?
On October 26th, 2018, Chad Daybell was listed as a speaker at a Preparing a People conference in St. George, Utah, between October 26th and 27th. Additionally, we have Melanie Gibb, or MG, we believe in this instance, confirmed that she was the one that introduced Chad and Lori as their mutual friend at this conference. And then on October 30th, 2018, Melanie Gibb texted that below the photo to a group text, including Lori Vallow that was captured in an iCloud account.
And when you went through this, was there also mention of Elena helping Chad sell his books?
Correct. Later in the story, I believe there's indication, or in the story, it says that Elena helped Chad sell his books.
Mhm.
So in that first part of the story, did it appear to match up with events going on in Chad and Lori's lives?
It did. He was happily surprised when she mentioned a key part of his novel, The Renewed Earth. No one had ever recognized the significance of that scene before. He had heard that voice before and seen that smile before. He felt they had even talked like this before, but who could be certain when?
And looking back now to Exhibit G that's up on the screen, in that image that we're seeing there, do you know who, and when I say the image, the photo of the people, do you know who those individuals are?
I don't recall the woman to the far left. The second woman from the far left is Lori Vallow, then Melanie Gibb, Chad Daybell, and Zulema Pastenes.
And you just read about a novel, The Renewed Earth. And was there something about that that stuck out in relation to the James and Elena story and Chad and Lori?
In the James and Elena story, he claimed to have written a novel titled The Renewed Earth, and Chad Daybell also wrote a novel entitled The Renewed Earth. I must clarify that James is a very difficult person to get information from. He has been blessed with great knowledge, but 99% of the people he knows do not realize that. He knew she was one of the very few people on earth he could trust. James's spirit was so excited at this revelation that he shattered a thick veil that had been placed between these two souls during their mortal lives. The thick veil had been placed because of the unique, unparalleled love James and Elena had shared in previous lifetimes. That veil had prevented them from finding each other until this appointed day that would be remembered throughout the heavens as the true beginning of a spectacular mission that would save millions of souls and defeat the forces of darkness.
Was there something about this particular section of the story that stood out to you?
I believe the thing that stuck out the most was their spectacular mission, and then the concept of darkness. The light and dark was a concept that came up pretty frequently in the investigation.
And did you also see in there reference to James and Elena having shared previous lifetimes together
Yes.
or shared love in a previous lifetime?
Yes. There we go. Unparalleled love James and Elena had shared in previous life.
Did you ever learn anything in relation to Chad and Lori and believing they were married in previous lives?
Yes. James's physical attraction to Elena was almost overwhelming, but he was equally drawn to the spiritual energy that was radiating from her. As they talked, it was confirmed to him that they had indeed been married before and were eternal companions.
And as you read through that, do you see who it was confirmed to?
Yeah.
James it's confirmed to James
And James was known to be an alias for who?
or Chad. He made an awkward attempt that was way too brief because their friends were bringing more boxes. In that short embrace, though, he knew he had found the woman he had searched for his entire life.
Do you know approximately
Mm-mm.
what period of time this would have been referencing?
This would have been referencing the October 26th, their first meeting.
And during this time, was Tammy Daybell alive?
Yes,
Was Charles Vallow alive?
yes. When he arrived home, he searched the internet for anything about her, but there was nothing. She was a fascinating mystery that he wanted to spend the rest of eternity with.
Was there anything in relation to this that stuck out in regards to the investigation?
Yes, through the review of Chad's Google searches, Chad Googled Lori the same day that he met her on October 26, 2018, which
Mhm.
is about a day off, but it's around the same time.
So in the story, James is searching Elena, correct?
Correct.
And in real life, Chad was searching Lori Vallow.
Correct.
Boom.
And if we
boom,
go to the next
boom.
page, 13, and about 4 lines down, there's a sentence that starts with, he was able to help clarify. Would you read from there to the end of that paragraph?
He was able to help clarify many of the promptings and impressions she had felt in recent years. She knew she had lived on Earth before, and James was able to clarify when. They had been married before on this Earth and other times on a previous Earth. Their love truly spanned the universe and eons of time. They knew the Lord had brought them together again for a crucial mission that only they could accomplish as a united couple. During the next week, they spoke every day for at least an hour, but often longer. They hungered to know everything about each other. This was a new experience for James, to open up and share the true feelings of his heart, but he knew he could trust her completely. The bond between them was intense, and only the vast distance between them kept their passion for each other from roaring into a blazing inferno.
That's
She quickly
disgusting.
became his best friend, or better said, two best friends had reunited and their prior love was now ignited in a wonderful heavenly way.
And were there certain things about this passage that caught your
It's the continued concept of married before the prior marriages, the religious connotations of multiple lives, the crucial missions that they had to accomplish as a united couple, the distance between them. It sort of confirms the Chad and Lori lived in separate states at the time, similar to James and Elena, and this very quick passion and love. This is again still within days or a day or two of meeting.
And at the very start of the passage you read, did you also see where he was the one able to help
Judge, I'm going to
clarify?
object at this
Oh.
point. This is becoming counsel testifying during this introduction to the
I left that one in. My bad.
evidence.
And can you read that first sentence again?
He was able to help clarify many of the promptings and impressions she had felt in recent years.
And again, James is an alias for who?
For Chad,
And Elena is an alias for who?
for Lori. He knew they had been married before, and they had been close friends with the Savior when he lived in Jerusalem. James has served in an important position in the Lord's church, and Elena had been his beloved spouse and best friend. That relationship was now meant to continue in this lifetime. In Jerusalem, James and Elena had enjoyed tremendous intimacy. Their physical desire for each other was unmatched, and they were fortunate that they could be alone morning, noon, and night, and they seized every chance to passionately express their love to each other. He knew they were meant to be married again, and the complete important missions. He knew they were meant to be married again and complete important missions together before the second coming. He was ecstatic that she was receiving confirmation of these things as well.
And was there something about this particular section that stood out to you?
There were a couple items. Again, the continuation of this relationship continuing through this lifetime. The statement that says they were fortunate that they could be alone morning, noon, and night, and seized every chance to passionately express their love. That he is receiving these confirmations and that she was confirming them as well. Those were the primary takeaways.
And Miss Heidemann, if you would turn to page 19 on 184B, and if you go about 5 lines down, starting with "they were both," if you would read those next 2 sentences.
They were both aroused, but knew there were limitations on what could occur that night. But they kissed for nearly an hour and pressed against each other tightly. They knew they would see each other again in the morning, but the separation seemed too long. But they knew that the long wait to find their eternal match had come to an end, and James was overjoyed beyond description. James and Elena had agreed to visit the temple the following morning.
And in your review of things, were you aware if there was something that happened with Chad and Lori that would correspond with this?
At the time of this James and Elena story, this would have been in parts we haven't read in. It was in November during a Preparing a People conference, which was on November 2019. And the temple records, they visit the temple in Arizona also on November 16th, 2019.
Before we move on from this, when we talk about the renewed earth, were you aware whether Chad wrote books?
He did, yeah.
And is this one of the books that he had written?
Yeah.
And about 3 lines down, it starts with "he knew." And if you would read the next 3 sentences into the record.
He knew he was in the presence of an exalted goddess who had returned to earth to perform a special mission. This mission included being with him, and they would progress together as translated beings. The full plan wasn't yet completely clear to him, but the immense power radiating from her confirmed his belief that she was among the greatest women in the universe.
Was there something about that particular passage that stood?
I know it's long.
We have again the special mission. It included to be with him, and they progressed together. There's also indication of a full plan. It wasn't completely clear to him yet, but there is reference to a plan. They had only known each other for 3 weeks, but 2 lonely, misunderstood souls had finally found their best friend that they could trust and confide in. They arrived at the temple, and they both felt they should do sealings together. They were soon seated in a sealing room facing each other. Elena looked so stunning as she smiled at him. She seemed calm while he felt quite nervous. Their opportunity soon came to kneel across the altar from each other, and as the sealer pronounced those sacred words, James and Elena knew they were now sealed as husband and wife for eternity. As the earthly sealing was taking place, A similar scene involving their spirits was happening on a higher plane, where they kissed and unified their souls. So if you put this passage in context with the temple records, then they were doing a husband and wife sealing ceremony in the temple in October 2018.
And you said October,
I'm sorry, November 2018. I'm sorry.
so they met in October of 2018.
Correct. And this would have been in November 2018.
And again, if we turn back to the exhibit up on the screen, Exhibit G, you had determined that there was an event going on around that same time?
Correct. There was a Preparing a People conference in Mesa, Arizona, from November 16th to 17th, 2018, in which Chad Daybell was listed as a speaker.
And then you just referenced the temple records, and are those shown up there under number 2?
They are. They helped clean up the conference, and Elena graciously allowed James to stay in a spare bedroom at her home that night. They visited with other friends until after midnight, then they all went to bed. James anxiously hoped Elena would join him in the spare room. It took a while for everyone to settle into their beds, but once the house quieted down, James opened his door slightly and saw the wondrous sight of Elena approaching the room.
And what about that stood out to you, if anything?
Statements from Lori's friends indicated that she allowed conference goers, some of the conference goers, to stay at her house the last night of the conference.
And my uncle's
And then
out.
if we turn to page 27, and before going on, looking back to the exhibit on the screen, Exhibit G, under 3, is that what we had just talked about?
Yes, that was what was read, yeah.
And was there something else in the James and Elena story regarding that November conference that caught your attention?
So at the conference, Chad and Lori's friends stayed at Lori's house. And then he sold some of his books similarly that he did in the October 2018 event. So it seems to be a similar style where he's a speaker and then sells his books at these events.
And on the bottom of page 27, that last sentence, and then continuing on to the following page, if you would read the last sentence of 27 and the first 3 sentences of page 20.
He loved her with all of his heart and soul, and he felt a part of his spirit stay permanently attached to her, never to again be separated. Elena was part of a successful podcasting team, and she invited James to record an episode and share his life story. He came into town the night before, and they met at a favorite rendezvous. The magnetic energy pulsated once again through their bodies.
Gross.
And through your investigation, was there a reason that this particular part stood out to you?
Yeah.
Similarly to the James and Elena story, Chad went to Arizona to participate in a podcast that Lori and Melanie Gibb were putting together.
And then if we turn to page 30.
Shania Twain's song Forever and for Always
Ugh.
played on repeat a dozen times as the two lovers became completely absorbed in each other.
And then if we move to page 31, 4 lines down, starting with each time, if you would read the next 3 sentences into the record.
Each time they reunited, she was more beautiful and youthful. She flashed him a gorgeous smile and they embraced. They were soon on their way to the hotel where she would stay.
Is there something about that part of the story that stood out to you?
So what's displayed on the screen is how it appears in text messages, how it was coming through. So we didn't read the whole passage into the record, but it starts with James eagerly awaited it in his hometown airport for Elena to arrive, his hometown being Rexburg, Idaho. So in this statement, in this excerpt, it appears that Elena is now for the first time traveling to Idaho to visit, or Elena is traveling to Idaho to visit James and stayed in a hotel.
And then there's some notes down at the bottom. Were there other things that indicated Lori may have been in the Idaho area?
Yes. In the previous text that's numbered 1206 that just precedes the paragraph at the end, it says, I'm going to jump to Rexburg in April, and then lists, and then there's the passage from the story. So if you take that Elena is traveling to Rexburg in April and compare that to Lori's travel records, there's a flight for Lori from Mesa, Arizona to Idaho Falls, Idaho on April 2nd. And then she flies home on April 4th, 2019.
And during this time, was Charles still alive?
He was,
Was Tammy still alive?
yes.
And if we turn to page 32 of Exhibit B, and on the second line beginning with but during, would you read that down to the sentence, about 6 lines of that down to where the sentence starts with the same, so ending in that sentence every way?
I'm sorry, and you said start with but during?
Start with but during,
Sorry
yes,
about that.
please.
I lost my spot. But during James's latest mission, his wife had died back in Jerusalem. He was unsure what was next for him.
Oh.
Suddenly, Jesus appeared to him as he walked along and told James that he would become the bishop of Jerusalem and that he should marry his niece, Elena. James's attitude quickly
Gross.
brightened. There was something very special about Elena, and he knew they would be very compatible in every way.
And then if you go on
So,
to
I
the
mean,
next,
that straight up, that I had never caught that before, and I'm sure y'all have, but oh my God.
starts with the same, so ending in that sentence every way.
I'm sorry, and you said start with but during?
Start with but during,
Sorry
yes,
about that.
please.
I lost my spot. But during James's latest mission, his wife had died back in Jerusalem. He was unsure what was next for him. Suddenly, Jesus appeared to him as he walked along and told James that he would become the bishop of Jerusalem and that he should marry his niece, Elena. James's attitude quickly brightened. There was
No
something
normal
very
person
special
there.
about Elena, and he knew they would be very compatible in every way.
And then if you go on to the next page,
Yeah.
33,
Premeditation.
would you start with the Savior?
Yeah.
Down to the sentence ending in instantly
Yeah.
awakened and read that into the record.
The Savior then
Oh.
told them there was no reason to wait, especially with James's new calling as bishop. Jesus invited them to kneel across from each other. He
I'm
then
falling.
sealed them together for time and eternity.
That's
Both
interesting.
James and Elena.
So I didn't mean to hit that. But anyways, does that mean that, I mean, we know that they were sealed in the temple. We know that it was inefficient. We know that I believe this is how the Latter-day Saints are allegedly practicing polygamy in this day. I don't think they've ever stopped. To me, it's just it's age old, and it's something that they believed in, but had to denounce, I would say, to the government, so that they could become a part of the United States of America. And in my opinion, it just kind of goes with this whole sovereign citizen type of behavior. I really don't even know what to call it, but how a lot of these people are, said to be bleeding the beast. And, why would they have revenge or want revenge on the United States government? Is it because the government was like, you can't practice polygamy? And if you want to become a state, you have to denounce that. And so, I mean, is that part of the like revenge, or is the revenge like, I really, how many of you think that the church legitimately isn't practicing polygamy at all? Not whether it's right or not, or whether they say they do or not. I mean, in my opinion, and like through my research, through researching a lot of these, quote unquote offshoots, I think that this is what causes the offshoot. I think, and so I don't know what's going on, like I don't know what the whole mission is or whatever. I don't know where killing people comes into play, but something is causing these offshoots. And I believe it's this quote, church of the firstborn, unquote idea. Church of the firstborn, meaning polygamy, meaning, um, uh, I lost the word, eternal covenants or something like that. I think that's what it is. I kind of, it just, I don't know. I just want to know. Like, I feel like I want to believe them, but there's so many instances over and over and over again of this kind of rhetoric going on in these cases, like with the Lafferty brothers, with the Ervil LeBaron and others, Jeffrey Lundgren. Um, it's like this weird undertone or something that's there, and it's like, I think that's what this is. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I wanna be wrong. I don't wanna be right. But I feel like if the church had not basically used Melanie Gibb and or Jason Mao, however they are tied in there, I know they are, um, kind of recruiting. If anything, Melanie Gibb is she's above the level of Chad and Lori here. And Jason Mao is too. And Jason Mao is still a practicing Latter-day Saint, and he works for the church directly. He's a CES teacher, just like his predecessor or his mentor, Mike Stroud. Mike Stroud worked in the CES, the church education system, meaning teaches seminary to young LDS students, and I don't know. It kind of goes hand in hand with this other thing that I've noticed also, and that's the people who speak out, because the church hasn't spoke out. They haven't spoken out. And so they get people like Patrick Mason, they get people like Christopher Blythe, who are like LDS historians, to basically distance what Chad and Lori have, you know, allegedly gone rogue with. They're just a damn offshoot. He's just trying to start his own church, whatever. And Chad says it a couple times. He's like, we're just not smart enough. I'm just not smart enough to do all this, and he chuckles it off. And so to me, I think that the church, I mean, Lori may have been aware of Chad's books before, but I don't think that's the changing factor here. I don't think that's what radicalized her. I just don't. I think Melanie Gibb coming into the lives of Melanie Pulowski and Lori Vallow did. I think that her entrance into their lives, in Brandon's testimony, he talks about how Melanie Gibb and her family showed up to the family Christmas gathering, and how it was just weird, and how awkward is that, And then we learned that through the secret recordings of Ian Pulowski that basically that Melanie Gibbs all in, but she's just, she can't do this with her conscience needs to be clear or whatever. And David's not in this at all. Like, he's like, I'm not saying he's not involved. I'm just saying he's not wanting to continue on with this, right? But he's flown in and drove in, and been invited to these gatherings, these castings, all the way up right after my uncle was murdered. Okay, so August 2019. I mean, he's in there like swimwear the whole time. And then all of a sudden, the cops are on the trail and he wants out. I don't think David's hands are clean at all. But anyway, but Lori and Melanie are basically, Melanie Pulaski are, talking shit about Melanie Gibb and David Warwick, and how Melanie Gibb is actually translated to. And then there's another story, that I've heard. I just can't remember where I heard it from, but I've heard it a long time ago. And I mean, I just reheard it again, but I don't remember where I got it from, what channel I was listening to. But basically, whenever David Warwick's mother died, and then David and Melanie Gibb got married. Okay. They got married on the 1-year anniversary of Alex Cox's death. Okay. So December 12th, 2020. And allegedly David Warwick's mom had just died. And I remember this aspect of it, or this part, where Melanie Gibb plucked a flower from her casket flowers, her soon-to-be mother-in-law's casket flowers, right? And put it in her bouquet, which is a horrible looking bouquet, by the way. And she marries David. And I do kind of think that these people really thought that by marrying one another, even if it was business, of course, that they were thinking they wouldn't have to testify against one another, because lo and behold, every single one of these couples got remarried. Okay. But then you have Alex Cox, who's Googling trannies the day that Tammy Daybell was shot at. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just trying to factor all these things in, like, what is really going on here? Why? And who's giving orders? Is it just Chad and Lori, or is he meeting with Tom Harrison? Because there's one on the on the cast team, but not the cast team, but the detective from Chandler, Arizona, Ariel Werthers, where he's saying that he said that Chad his device was located in Salt Lake City on the day that my uncle was murdered. And I'm just like, okay, so what is the deal with Tom Harrison? And why is he the common denominator between Julie Rowe and Chad Daybell meeting with Tom Harrison, allegedly, to learn how to quote unquote portal? What's really going on here? And why is Tom Harrison in the middle of this, but not being drawn out? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's the guru here? And anyways, there's still so much to uncover and dig into. There's also a dude or a guy by the name of Paul Pulsifer. Okay. And I just want you to kind of think about this. There's a message under, or a reply or a comment under Melanie Gibb. And it's saying it's on September 7th, 2019. And he's basically thanking Melanie Gibb for, I want to say the feast. Okay, that's like the word he used, the feast. Now, granted, Paul Pulsifer's wife also died October-ish of 2019. Interesting, right? Interesting. And she even wrote a book about portals and so and so. I mean, I have the book downloaded, but I'm just all these things are factoring in, and I'm just like, what's really going on here? Paul Pulsifer is a musician. He teaches piano lessons. He's from Provo, Utah, but he has lived in Canada with his late wife, Lorraine. And then it seems like he moved back. Okay. So it just seems to be this Southern Utah kind of clique. Okay. And I mean, this goes kind of with my theory about the Hamblin case and how Tom Harrison ties in with the Hamblin case through Gordon Bowen, which is, anyways, he's disgusting. With these dark arts practicers, okay, it's this group of that go by quote unquote the group. They literally go by the group. It's like a cult within a cult in the LDS, okay? And they go and they sit next to you in church. They meet at the meeting houses, and they are pretending to be good Latter-day Saints or whatever, but they are not. What they are doing, though, is practicing dark arts, such as sacrificing animals. I mean, I'm going to go on a little stretch here and say Chad Daybell is maybe part of this group. It's a generational type thing. Families are kind of locked in, and they move in lockstep. Okay, and it just seems that wherever they are, there's just some really sus stuff and disappearances going on and all this kind of abuse, but it's being dubbed as satanic ritual abuse, whereas it's just really horrible abuse, child abuse, and it just gets labeled as satanic ritual abuse, even though I know by the product of what they're doing, by ye fruits ye shall know, right? And so like the products are victims, murder victims, children, very abused children, okay, in their wakes. And to me, it's just, I'm just like, okay, so this goes hand in hand, in my opinion. And this is just another, I guess, uh, faction or another branch of it. I don't even know what to say, I don't know what to call it yet. But I really do think that Chad's family may be practicing the dark arts. Okay. I don't have anything to corroborate that yet, or, I haven't vetted that out all the way. It's just, it seems to be coming more clearer to me, to that aspect. So, I mean, with being a grave digger, all the sons being a grave digger at some point in time. Yeah. I mean, I understand it's a good first job and yada, 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 but this one made a career out of it. Chad Daybell made a career out of it. So what? I mean, so much so that that's basically, besides working as an editor before and going to school for journalism. I mean, that's really the only job he's had, It's one of the very few jobs he's had. Other than that, it was all on Tammy's back. And just the way he treated her and the way the kids are. I'm gonna look more into cozy cone. That just freaks me out, y'all. Jason makes joke about it all the time. He's like, "Oh, he was trying to get into the cozy cone," you know, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, that's so gross," you know. But I mean, really, what was he telling? I mean, why would his kids call that one room in his house the upstairs bedroom? Why would they call that the cozy cone or the addition? I don't. I guess they called the addition the cozy cone. Why would you call it a cozy cone? And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just, anyways, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it just doesn't add up. Let me finish this.
Elena were shocked at how quickly everything had taken place. But as the sealing was performed, it was
Yes.
as if their
Yeah.
eternal bond was revealed. True love immediately blossomed, and their physical desire for each other was instantly awakened.
What, if anything, about those passages stood out to you?
We have the sealing again. This is in Jerusalem time, so this is a prior life for James and Elena they were sealed. So it's this concept of the multiple lives, them being married, and it being blessed by Jesus. Those concepts, they were shocked at how quickly everything had taken place. And the true love, physical desire was instantly awakened. So it's the same sort of prior marriages, prior relationships.
Was there something about that in the story that caught your attention?
So just to read the sentence again, but during James's latest mission, his wife had died back in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And he was unsure what was next for him.
That's a big
This is the only time that a wife is mentioned during the story. And James's wife had died at this in the story as well.
And then if we turn back to page 33, at the very bottom, second line from the bottom, starting with then James, would you read from that through the end of that passage?
Then James placed his lips on hers, and sparks flew between them. He pulled her close to him and whispered, "I love you, Elena. I always have, and I always will."
Yep.
And Your Honor, may we please approach?
Oh yeah. As disgusting. You are disgusting, Chad. All my people in my chat say you're disgusting. Right? So, anyways, again, this is just me trying to I'm just trying to make sense of the nonsensical. It's so nonsensical. And so many people are having to die. So many people are victims. So many people are lying. So many people are protecting everything except for children and innocent bystanders, like innocent spouses. And it just doesn't too much add up to me. Symbols have no power, but they do speak as labels. The Moloch symbol on Chad's pendulum shouts out child sacrifice, right? The damn owl. Yeah. And the green and the Tuesdays and the malachite and the I know. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, really, I've gone on both. I've tried going researching on both ends of this, right? The Chad and Daybell, Chad and Lori level, kind of their level, you know, fresh eyes, basically, because I'm not Latter-day Saint. I'm not really, I don't know scripture. Okay. I just don't. I just don't. My Uncle Bobby can recite it. And I mean, I'm just like, okay, you can recite it, but do you live by it? I mean, that's basically, especially like Chad and Lori and Melanie and all the peoples, right? And how they can recite it, but they really are shitty human beings because they don't live it. They don't live. I don't live by the scriptures. She says she does. Lori says, I live by the scriptures, but I don't think so. That's obvious. And if so, what kind of scriptures are you living by? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, this is Book of Mormon scriptures. Okay. They're different than they have the Book of Mormon, which all the Latter-day Saints or ex-Latter-day Saints that I've talked to have said that the Bible is not, it's in one of the quad, books that active LDS members read, but I don't think so. I think it's more the Book of Mormon. And I wish that, mainstream would not say just the scriptures because, I mean, if it's going to be separate in its own thing, then own it, attribute it to them, attribute it to that, not anything else. Because I mean, a lot of people are under the assumption that LDS is similar to being a Christian. Now, I'm not here to debate all that, but it's not. Just from what I've read, it's not. Um, it's it's weird. It's so weird. Yeah, the Bible wasn't enough. It wasn't. No, I'm sorry. Joseph Smith had to, and I mean, this is a what, 14, 15-year-old boy. He maybe was a prophet for an LDS prophet for 15 years. Okay. Before, and a lot of people say not before he was murdered, but they say before he was martyred. And I'm just like, what? Okay. No, he's not a martyr. He's not Jesus Christ. He's not. Anyways, but, it's disgusting. But Joseph Smith said that, the Bible wasn't correct, so he had to translate it correctly. It sounds like narcissism to me, big time. Okay, big time. So, I mean, first things first, I didn't know there was a damn difference. I never had to question these things. I never looked into anything. I never even knew that Charles and Lori were Mormon, like straight up. I was like, what? And so whenever the kids were missing and I kept hearing, Chad's a cult leader, da 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 da, he started his own, church. In my simple brain, before all this, before researching into it even a little, I was just like, well, how do their beliefs differ from that of their shared church? How do they believe? I mean, what do they believe? How do they believe? How are they different? And so the only thing that I found different is the word zombie. That's it. That's it. No, everything else is right on point, right on cue. Um, yes, the church says that they disavowed a lot of the teachings and stuff, but they're not gone. They're not erased. They're not deleted. They're not like not even told to don't look at those. You know what I mean? They're not even, it's just like, to me, this is just me. I know not a lot of people are going to agree, and that's okay. But I really think that the church is in on this. I do. I just do. I think all the churches are in on it. Duping people, and staying protected and staying wealthy and dumbing down the masses, because I think they're in on this whole end time second coming stuff. Just saying. That's just me. It's what it looks like to me. Uh, it's Bible Christian remix with dark magic and Masonic rituals. Thank you, Heidi. You're so smart. She really is. And she digs into this stuff too, so I feel like I'm not a Mormon nerd. I'm not, I'm just like, I don't know, just I'm trying to understand. And I didn't want people to continue. I didn't want to have to depend on people to tell me what this person believes or that person believes or what the church believes or whatever. I wanted to learn for myself. And now that I do, I mean, for the most part, I get the gist of it, and I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not at all. Follow the money. Yes, the profit with a P, ROFIT with an F, not a P. But and it's just so it's like, who gets off on this? Who gets off on sacrificing children? I just whistled. Who gets off on sacrificing children? Okay. Who gets off on duping people? And I mean, whether you believe in God or not, I was just always told that Satan is the master deceiver. And I mean, he wants to be God. So he will do anything in his power but he can't be. So he'll do anything in his power to deceive people and to bring people away from God. So that's just my kind of simple understanding of it. And this to me is just like point in case, That's funny, Jay Blake. Like, if we accidentally open the door to Mormons, we call it being mojoed in my family. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Oh, thank you, Illuminating Ink. It's like, it's like, it's not for credit. It's just, I just want Tylee and JJ for sure because Mormons tend to, a lot of them, they're like, no, that's not what we're doing over here. That's what Chad and Lori are doing. Obviously, that's what Chad and Lori are doing. I'm not in disagreement about that. However, I was telling this to Jason last night because I was like, the thing that pisses me off the most, it really just, it freaking bothers me, is the fact that that's exactly what happens is when these things happen, when these people quote unquote go astray, okay, like go to start their own damn church, which I don't believe is what's happening here. Because if the church wouldn't have sealed Lori and Chad together, they wouldn't be, in my opinion, I don't think they would be practicing polygamy, wink, wink, spiritual wifery, all that stuff. Then this shit wouldn't even be a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because of this practice, it's because of this belief that these things are happening. So if you don't cut that out, or at least shine a light on it and expose it for what it is, then it's going to continue like it has. Okay. And I know this happens in every religion, every brand. I know it's happened since the beginning of humanity, sacrificing. So it's like we're this old, we're here this long, and we still don't have a grasp on this, and I think it's because of gaslighting. I think it's because of projecting and just being like, people who are practicing this, they guilt trip everybody, like basically like, oh my God, I can't believe you'd believe that about me. I'm just, oh my God, and it's just a dupery. It's totally, anyways, I don't know. But what pisses me off is the fact that the church and its people distance themselves and from what happened to Tylee and JJ. They don't ever own up to it. They don't ever say, oh, okay, maybe what I am maybe what I am doing, right? Because it's not just the church, it's the people too. And in my opinion, the church depends and kind of implores its people to do its bidding for them, because they never come out and say anything either way. And Charles, Tylee, Tammy, and JJ were all practicing Mormons in their congregation. So they don't speak out on both sides of the spectrum here. They don't speak out and say, no, clear line in the sand. Don't do this shit or you won't belong here. Okay. They're just like, do, and they send like all these spin doctors is what I call them. And they spin the narrative, and it's like propaganda. It's just gross. It's so gross and sickening because, in my opinion, it dubs basically Tylee and JJ as a conspiracy. They're okay with that. They're okay with, just two people going down for two people who deserve it, in my opinion. But there's many more. There's so many more people who deserve to be put behind bars too. I can name a bunch. And I mean, so they never are made accountable. They're never responsible. These other people or the church, they're never held responsible for what they are putting out there. So by distancing, it keeps the people who are still practicing Mormons, it keeps them in the dark about what's really going on. Okay. And then it's a lie. It is a total lie and manipulation all the way around. Oh, sweet Melissa, thank you. Oh, we appreciate that. I agree. I agree. Toxin says, I am old enough to remember what used to be taught. My mom is 80 and she remembers her great grandparents were polygamous, but she has always taught us how she hates it herself. And I can't imagine what this does to a practicing LDS woman. I mean, can you imagine? Can you? I mean, I do. I try to put myself there. Like, oh my God, I watch a lot of things. I've read a lot of things, and I've continued to do so. I know I speak ignorantly a lot, not ignorantly, but I just don't know how to speak to it. It doesn't just roll off my tongue very well. But I want to be more effective in all the things that I have pointed out or have noticed along the journey here, my journey here. And I mean, I'm just, it's so much. It's so much. It's so complex and it's so many different layers. There's like so many different things that are factoring into the making of Chad and Lori Daybell and of the like, in my opinion. And that's why it's not going to change because people are just like, they discount what I say, even probably because I say it horribly. But I mean, I'm just like, I mean, if I could just, I don't know. It's a lot. And it's a lot, whenever I do speak, I don't, it's like all the disclaimers have to come out first, and I'm just like, okay, I don't mean everybody. It's not a blanket statement. It's not a this. I mean, and then after that, by the time I get to the point, I've already forgotten basically for the most part. So it's just, yeah, that too. I mean, why are all these higher tiered people uh closer to the upper echelons, why are they involved in these horrible cases? You know, there's something bigger at play here, and we haven't quite pinpointed it, or as a society, we have not come together on this, and to me, it's important. It's important because 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 their deaths are not going to be in vain. Um, like over my dead body, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yes. And I mean, I've even questioned myself about this too. I'm just like, how did this grow? How did something so deceitful grow? How is it growing? Or I don't think it is now, but too late, the church is freaking wealthy as all get out and they own a lot of things and, they're part of the second coming plan, if you know what I mean. And not just this church, but all the churches and not all the main, the big ones, Scientology, for sure, Mormons, and, I mean, for sure, Catholics. Um, and then there's so much abuse and just, shaming people into silence. And it's gross, like a damn cancer. Yes. Yes. Sinister grow. Yeah. Hello, Miss Christine. Me too. I hope the government brings down the church for tax fraud, right? It's an unhealthy set of beliefs, but I think the government might finally bring it down for scamming them from tax money. Lots, not just for this long a time. We're talking like a couple decades, like 28 years they defrauded allegedly. God. Um our government and had these shell companies. They're lying to their members and I'm just like, what the hell? How can you do this? And then and then people still believe and still put it up here. And it's so aggravating. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. That's interesting. And so and so I don't really know about this. Like I don't know enough to speak to it because I haven't dug, maybe I need to. But how come like when people do say satanic ritual abuse, how do people, and I mean, again, I'm going to sound really ignorant right now. So I just know that I really don't know the answer to this. How do people coin that as being anti-Semiticism? Like, I don't know enough to speak to it. So I'm really genuinely asking, how do people believe or attribute that to anti-Semiticism? Semitism. I think I'm saying that wrong. You know? Oh, do you know? I love your
Well,
accent.
I don't know all the details, but um, there's a very ancient story, and I forgot now the name of the saint, but it was a young boy that died. And in the story, they said that the killer of the boy was some Jewish people. And so
So when Though when people are
S-
saying that kids are sacrificed, or
Yes.
do they think I'm
Yes.
saying that a
No, I
Jewish
don't
person
think
did it?
anybody thinks you're
Well, no,
saying
but I
that, but
mean, that's what
just randomly that can be labeled as that
wow.
because there was propaganda started and they had all these like
Okay.
things on the sheet and it was passed out. So it was probably to hide who really did it. And if it wasn't the Jewish people, it was probably whoever made the track, probably
Right.
was
To me,
whoever
like they just had to
killed the
pin it
child.
on, they needed a fall guy or something for it.
Yes, yes. I'll have to
And
look it up and
I
I'll
just
try
want to
to
know. Yes, if you aren't with us, you are against us.
I'll
If
try
you
to
are,
look it up. But
thank you.
it's just like saying uh you know, Tim Ballard says, well, if you uh if you don't aren't in favor of me, then that means you're in favor of child trafficking. It's not one or the other. It's not. And people try to make it black and white that way, but it's not. It's things happen. And if it happens to be a Jewish people or Catholic people or Mormon people, whoever is doing these bad things needs to stop.
Yeah.
And I'll look that up and now I'll get out of here.
But you see this comment right here. Like, no, that's not at all what I didn't say anything. I'm asking because I've seen this kind of out there. And I don't want to ever say, I believe Chad and Lori did this. I don't think they're Jewish people. This is my family. The children are my family. Okay. So no, I was asking because it's just something that I've heard and I just don't want to be ignorant about it and say stupid shit like this. So, anyways, like I said,
Okay.
people will think and they will attribute it to it, just like
I'm
that.
going to look it up, but I'm getting out of here right now.
Yeah. So it's just, who is what woman? I'm Kresha. Hi, how are you? Charles Vallow is my uncle. JJ Vallow is my nephew, and Tylee Ryan was my step cousin. You're okay. Happy Mother's Day to you too, Bewitched. I know, I know, I know, and it's bad because it's like, how else do I talk to y'all? How else do I ask? Um, and I mean, again, I don't think that. It's just what I've kind of seen out there, like how does that get tied up to that? You know what I'm saying? How does child sacrifice? How are people tying that to anti-Semitism? It was my question. It wasn't my comment. Thank you. Appreciate that. I think that's the only way to learn. I mean, for real, well, I don't want to speak ignorantly. I've done plenty of ignorant speaking, Um, so I don't want to. No, people in the chat, nobody thinks that. That was just a question that I've seen out there. That's just like people tie those two things together, these two concepts or whatever. And I'm just like, what? How is that happening? What makes that happen? What ties that? If you have the answers, please elaborate. Because it was just a question. LDS added what Joseph Smith said he saw and found and made their own version of God, just Jesus Christ in the Holy Script. And that alone it is. Yes, they were Mormons. Ooh. Yes, they were practicing Latter-day Saint Mormons. They were very devout practicing Latter-day Saints. So it's a lot of research, it's a lot of clouded, shrouded, information. Like it's not direct. It's very passive information that we're learning, that we have learned, like about the James and Elena story, how that is basically Chad's writing to Lori, right? But yet it is corroborating things in real time at that time of what was really going on. Tammy dying, my Uncle Charles being murdered, the kids being murdered, being dubbed as zombies, and my mom was also rated dark. My mom is Kay Woodcock. And so, oh my gosh, they don't, they don't. I'm just saying, whenever I look up things related to satanic ritual abuse or ritual murder or ritual abuse, whatever it is out there. Some people do link those two concepts together, and I'm just like, what? I don't quite understand it. That's why I was asking a question. So, demons desire child sacrifice. Followers offer them children. Yes, that's exactly. I think this is what happened. Zero. I really do. I really do. I really do. Yeah. And my mom being raided, she even got a zombie name, Rhonda, a demon name, Rhonda. And that pisses me off. It pisses me off. I mean, because it wasn't going to stop just at my uncle, at my nephew and my cousin. And it was going to go to my mom. They were going to murder her, probably, allegedly, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, they're not saying that. Huggy Bear is not. I'm over trying to. I know. It gets hard. It gets very. Again, didn't mean to turn the damn chat. I was asking a damn question. And if I can't ask a question on my own channel, then I mean nobody is saying this. Okay. All right. So
I'm
nobody.
scared. I'm
Nobody.
scared. I'm not saying it. But what I'm saying is
Time out.
Nazi propaganda said that.
Okay.
And
So there you go.
And so
Okay.
anytime anybody says anything nearly, I'm just not even saying it, just even mention that kind of a deal, they equate it to that Nazi propaganda. And I apologize for not making that clear.
No. And you didn't. She was already asking that before you came on. I put that person in timeout because it's just like, no, I'm asking a question. There's a difference. That the whole point of asking that question was so that shit didn't happen,
And as far as we know, in all of the cases that we have looked up and studied about, I haven't seen any Jewish people at all involved in any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, at all. And
I
I've seen Catholics, I've seen JWs, I've seen Mormons, I've seen some ones of like some apostolic, I don't even know what they are, just some other random things. But, I'm sure that it goes on, but we have not seen it in our looking at this particular thing.
Yeah.
We tend to think that these people actually worship Satan. And they're embedded into other maybe good people, like some other good people around there, but they're embedded in with good people, hiding amongst the good people, trying to get the good people in with them.
And so whenever people do actually explore these cases, when they research into them, when they investigate into them, they're like, well, we didn't find that they were practicing Satanism or that they were worshiping the devil. That's the problem. That's why they've never been prosecuted, I think. I mean, I remember watching op-ed number 23 from Lynn K. Packer, right? And it's about the satanic ritual abuse with the Hamblin case, right? And at the very end, he talks about Mike King and how, anyways, and about another woman who has, I think she has since passed away, but who was claiming that she was ritually abused, SRA is the acronym for it. But, and so Lynn Packer, he posits a question, and he's just like, I mean, it's just never happened. Nobody. Okay. So basically saying that Hamblin, that Gordon Bowen aren't worshiping Satan. So, that dismisses that. You see what it's problematic in my opinion, because it's like, no, they're not straight out worshiping, but it's like they're practicing this inverted practice. And
whatever they did to Tylee was not I don't think in the Book of Mormon or any of them books. So they've got something else going on with it. And I
Oh,
said
wow.
something, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing. I don't know what
Right.
book they're getting that from.
It's the
But
wrong book.
and not only that, it's too much the same. These stories are too much the same.
Ravina says Q is conspiracy. Government does propaganda. They come up with all the keywords and everything. Kim Stearns, man, yeah. Oh my God, I believe I'm watching too much of these evil peeps because I had a dream last night and I asked them to rate me light or dark, and they would not. I woke up thinking, WTF, I guess WTF, right? Poor baby. I'm so sorry, but I do appreciate what you are, and I mean, your mental health. Everybody knows their mental health and their mental wellness, what's good for you and what's not. Just y'all, we have to remember to practice self-care. I was thankful for this weekend, to just kind of be able to step away from it a little bit because it's a lot to process. Every single day there's new stuff, and it's like having a document dump every single day and having to process it, and everybody else is a lot better at processing it. I'm feel like I'm too close, you know what I mean? I get stuck in the weeds and I'm just like, and it's very intimidating. It's frustrating, but then I'm also thankful when people do put things together, and I'm just like, oh, okay, good. Things that I've already, maybe put together in my mind, but it's just there's a lot. And I mean, just after this trial is over, there's I'm all like, oh, what's going to happen? Is the interest going to die down? And I mean, it will to a degree, but there's still so much work to do. There's
I
still
think
so much of it to go through.
this is different. I think this is the crime of the century. I think that
Yeah.
every crime that happens for the next 10 years they will try to, like, oh, this reminds me of some kind of way of Lori and Chad and this and that and the
Mhm.
other thing. And I don't think it's going to go away. And it's like, I watched that guy that, I don't know what his name is, Collier Landry, whose
Oh,
mother
yeah.
was killed.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a fine example of somebody that's went
Mhm.
on and done things, but yet at the same time he holds light. He remembers his mother. He makes the story important, and he says that Chad Daybell and his father are the same. He says that it's a
Wow.
evil triad. He said that it's just unbelievable how evil they are.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary because, I mean, we always question what Emma and Garth and Leah and Seth and Mark, I mean, are, why they're supporting their dad. How are they supporting their dad? And so he's a good example of that. He kind of got caught up into all that too, didn't he?
No, he heard he heard what happened in the night. He heard the noise in the night when his dad killed his mother, and when his dad walked past his door, he just pretended to be asleep. And when he
Wow.
got up the next morning, his dad told him that mommy had decided to leave in the night, and expected him to believe it. And he, if it hadn't been for him, he might have got away with it, because he started like researching stuff at 10 years old and called the police down to the schoolhouse and
Wow.
was helping them. I mean, it's a very interesting story.
Poor kid.
And
No kid
yeah,
should ever have to do that,
and testified against his father in court.
Bewitched says, I choose bears over Mormon men. Just saying. Okay.
Y'all want to hear a
Thank
funny
you.
story as a palate cleaner?
Yes.
Okay, this morning my mama got up,
Okay.
and I was my brother helps. He's older than me. He's 72, and he helps with my mom too. But anyway, my mom got up this morning, and I said, Mom, how are you feeling? She said, well, I just feel terrible. I had a nightmare last night. I said, well, what happened? I thought, well, maybe she fell or something. I didn't know. And she goes, well, I was hunting for Eddie's bottle all night long. I said, when it was a baby? And she She said that all night long she hunted for my brother's baby bottle, and he's 72 years old.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
and
And
so,
she's looking for it.
yeah, in this house we live in now, that's just like, oh my God. Anyway, so I called my brother and I said, hey, I want to tell you something. I said,
She
hey,
found your
mom
bottle?
said, yeah, my mom had a nightmare. She looked for your bottle all night.
Oh my God.
He said,
Poor thing.
never.
I get like that too. Cough. Yeah. Hashtag
He
down to
said,
mama.
Happy Mother's Day.
No.
I thought it was
Oh,
so
well,
funny that
right?
my 91-year-old mother hunted for a baby bottle all night long.
Oh, so you're
Okay.
always a mom, you know? That's what
Yeah.
that tells me.
Pretty funny, I thought.
I understand. I wish I could say your name. I think it's Jamie Michans. I don't know. I'm probably butchering that too, but again, you know, and thanks for being the subscriber. I know I've seen you here before. I just was like, wait, what? No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't believe in hate, you know. I really don't. I mean, love always wins is kind of it's something my uncle Charles had written to his attorney whenever he said that he was taking Lori back. He was like, "What can I say, Taylor? Love always wins." And I mean, I just kind of incorporate that into because love is what wins. It's what matters at the end of the day, at the end of my life, at the end of the story, at the end of the things, you know. It's not hate. Hate is something that's learned, and I just don't want to misspeak, is what I'm saying. You know, that's what I was questioning. Basically, it's like, wait, how come I've seen these two ideas like clinked up together, and I just don't, you know, because I was asked to go on Surviving the Survivor by Joel, and I know his mom was in the Holocaust and everything, and I don't want to be disrespectful. I just don't know. I don't know what all that entails, you know, yet. Haven't been able to research that aspect of it yet. I mean, I kind of know a little, you know, we watched Schindler's List in high school. And I mean, it was a very powerful movie, you know, and I just don't know. I'm not educated enough in that background. So I didn't want to offend anybody. You know, and so by asking that question I did, why do people link those some people, why have I seen that link together, that those two ideas? And that way I don't repeat and make the same damn mistake ignorantly even, you know, especially. So anyways, I appreciate you. And we can disagree or, you know, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. It's just really kind of like this has always been a place where I can go to and you guys join me and we just kind of share what we think happened, you know? And I mean, it takes a damn village um, because it just does. And that's, it's not one person that's going to save the day. It's all of us, you know? We all need to be more open and understanding and loving, you know, and just open to other people's thoughts and beliefs and you know what I mean. Again, I don't care what Chad and Lori believe. However, it's like what they believe in, what they did, they justified the deaths of my family members as well as Tammy Daybell and probably Joe Ryan too. And they've used this to justify murdering people that I love. And so it's just like, wait, now, you know, yeah, no, we're in there now, you know? And so it's yeah, but I'm so sorry, you know, for real. I was just like, no, no, it's not what I'm saying. But yeah. Um, and I want that to be okay. I want it to always be okay for us to ask a question and I mean, how else can we learn, you know, unless you ask the questions and ask the things because other than that, you know, you're just kind of walking around ignorantly and probably saying some pretty damn ignorant things. I know I've done it and not on purpose. It was just like, this was my understanding up to this point. In the beginning of this, my Uncle Charles was visiting, right, you know, this is the months prior to his murder. And we were at my mom's house and, you know, I've said this story many times, but I'm gonna say it again. And Mom, Uncle Charles said something about cult, and I was like, "What?" You know? And I mean, again, I wasn't a prying person, but it just kind of now after his murder, it stood out and so on and so forth. But so me and Larry, my stepdad, we broke off from the conversation, but yet they were still, my mom and my Uncle Charles were right there in the kitchen. And so I was like, a cult leader? You know, like this was my little understanding was just like a cult leader, like Charles Manson. And Larry looked at and he was like, yeah. And I was like, he didn't kill anybody. And then I looked at Larry's face and I mean, it's called self-awareness. Okay. It's called awareness. And just, I was like, oh, I thought to myself, maybe read the room, right? I had to read the room and I read Larry's face and it was like, maybe I should educate myself on that a little bit before I just say that. And I mean, again, it was just kind of an ignorant thing to say, but I live and learn. I will. I will. Thank you. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? Difficult research. Oh my God. I wish I didn't have to know so many things or learn or have to go learn. Now I'm just like, well, I mean, I can't go back and change anything. Nothing nobody does can go back and change anything. Not in my family, not I mean my family's murders, not in, killing the deaths of many, many, many other innocent people from the beginning of time. You know, I just haven't had the opportunity to really delve in all the areas, because I'm just trying to understand this crap and it's terabytes of crap and it's years of crap already. And, I just, that's what it's all about. So we love you too. Oh, Kim, let's see. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Nobody should ever have to go through that. Ever, ever. This is not a club that anyone desires to be in. You just kind of find yourself on this side of it and you're like, you see things totally different. It's really gross, I'm so sorry though. Whew. My heart and prayers and my thought and all the things are with you, and I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that. Yeah. I don't even know what to say after. So we're gonna end on that, and just y'all send some love to Kim Stearns and her baby, and we're mothers. A lot of us are mothers. A lot of us are even grandmothers now, and maybe even great grandmothers, if and I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics in the world today. There's even fathers who are mothers too. They play the mother and father role because they raise their children on their own. So to all those people, happy Mother's Day. Okay. It's not happy for everybody, but it's just a day for us as mothers. Okay. But thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. I do. But love always wins, and we'll be here tomorrow morning. I already have it scheduled. I'm ahead of time. The live stream for tomorrow we're going to pick up with the James and Elena story, basically, because Nicole Heidemann will take the stand. Hopefully a lot of the foundation has been laid and we're ready. We're ready for tomorrow, whatever it may bring. Right? So justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. And love always wins. You guys are proof of this. Bye. Thank you.